December 1944, and the Germans are deep in the Ardennes forest, hoping for a decisive breakthrough that could turn the tide of the war. And here there was a young soldier in the Wehrmacht, part of a massive offensive designed to split the Allied lines and capture the vital port of Antwerp. Now they had been preparing for weeks, stockpiling ammunition and supplies. The commander had drilled them into the importance of this attack. Failure was not an option. The stakes were higher than ever, and as they moved into position, the snow muffled their footsteps, but their breath formed clouds in the cold air. The silence was deafening, each crunch of snow underfoot sounding like a gunshot. Now they took their positions and waited for the signal. The plan was to strike at dawn, and when the Allies would least expect it, the goal was simple: overwhelm them with sheer force and speed. It's worked before, so it'll work again. And then, as it seemed out of nowhere, the signal. A flare arced into the sky, casting an eerie light over the forest. They rose from their positions and surged forward, the calm shattered by the roar of artillery and machine gun fire. The ground beneath them shook with the fury of their attack. They moved as one, a tide of grey uniforms and steel, determined to break through the Allied lines. The cacophony of war was deafening. Shells exploding, the rattle of gunfire, and the cries of the wounded around them. Now they fought fiercely, every inch gained costing them dearly. The Allies were caught off guard but quickly rallied. Their resistance was fierce and their firepower was devastating. And as his comrades fell around him, their screams were lost in the chaos. The reality of war hit him harder than ever. They were not just fighting for victory, but now they were fighting for survival. And as the hours dragged on, exhaustion started to set in. They pushed forward, driven by the hope that this offensive could change the course of the war ahead. But the further they advanced, the stronger the Allied resistance became. And this was when the rumours began to spread. General Patton was on the move. They called him Old Blood and Guts, and his reputation preceded him. They had heard stories of his aggressive tactics, his relentless drive, and it was said that he would stop at nothing to break the lines. And so the first sign of trouble came in the form of a low rumble, growing louder with each passing second. Tanks. Patton's tanks. The ground shook beneath them as his armoured columns pushed through the snow and ice, a relentless force of nature. And as they braced themselves for the onslaught, the order was to hold the line at all costs. But deep down, they knew what they were up against. The Americans had air superiority, better supplies, and now the momentum of Patton's counterattack. The attack came swiftly. Artillery shells rained down, tearing through the defences. But Patton's tanks roared forward, supported by infantry and advancing with ruthless precision.
Now the enemy was on the defensive. In Patton's book, they were destined to fail.
The sky was filled with the deafening noise of war, and so they fought with everything they had, but it was like trying to stop an avalanche with their bare hands. Patton's strategy was relentless, exploiting every weakness, pressing every advantage. His tanks broke through the lines and his soldiers poured in like a flood, and so the order came in to retreat. They fell back through the forest, the once mighty offensive now a desperate scramble for survival. The cold bit into their flesh, but it was the fear that chilled them to the bone. Fear of Patton, fear of the unstoppable force bearing down upon them. And as they withdrew, they could see the toll of the battle that it had taken on their comrades. Faces which were once filled with hope and determination were now etched with despair and fear. The Ardennes had become a graveyard, and they were the living dead, haunted by the spectre of Patton's relentless advance behind them.
The 3rd broke the back of the German offensive and began preparations for their own. Always the old man pushed them harder than anyone had pushed them before. Always the results were more than they might have expected. For a commander who was so obviously a winner, they would do the impossible.
And so it was clear they had underestimated him, the Americans, and their resolve. And so the Battle of the Bulge was supposed to be a German triumph, but it had become their downfall. And at the centre of it all was Patton, a force of nature who had shattered their dreams of victory through a push. And so, World War II saw some of the most brilliant military minds clash in a struggle for global dominance. But among the Allied generals, one stood out as the most feared by the Axis powers. Who was this formidable leader, you ask? Well, join us and we'll uncover the story of the general who struck fear into the hearts of Axis commanders. And so when we talk about the most feared Allied generals of World War II, one name consistently rises above the rest, and that's General George S. Patton. Known for his aggressive tactics, bold strategies, and larger-than-life personality. Now, Patton was a figure that the Axis powers took very seriously. So let's give it some context. George S. Patton was born on November 11, 1885, in San Gabriel, California. From a young age, he showed a keen interest in military history and a passion for leadership. Patton attended the Virginia Military Institute and later transferred to the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he graduated in 1909. And so Patton's early military career was marked by his service in the Pancho Villa expedition in 1916, where he gained valuable experience in modern warfare. But it was during World War I that Patton first made a name for himself, serving with distinction in the newly formed Tank Corps. In World War I, Patton's innovative use of tanks in combat earned him recognition as a forward-thinking officer, and he was wounded in action during the Meuse-Argonne offensive, cementing his reputation as a brave and capable leader.
After the war, the tank school at Fort Meade. Two officers here shared a deep military interest, Ike Eisenhower and Georgie.
And even between the wars, Patton continued to hone his skills, studying military history and developing new strategies for armoured warfare. His insights and leadership would prove crucial in the years to come. Now, that famous nickname, Old Blood and Guts, reflected his fearless approach and his relentless pursuit of victory. Patton's reputation began to take shape during the North Africa campaign, where his leadership helped turn the tide against the Afrika Korps, commanded by the legendary Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. Patton's aggressive manoeuvres and rapid advances caught the Axis powers off guard, leading to significant Allied victories. The North Africa campaign was just the beginning. Patton's bold tactics and unorthodox strategies continued to disrupt Axis plans in Sicily and mainland Italy. His ability to rapidly exploit weaknesses in enemy lines made him a formidable opponent. And Patton's audacity and unconventional methods earned him a fearsome reputation. The Axis commanders respected his capability to adapt quickly and strike hard. His presence on the battlefield was a constant source of concern for German strategists, and his impact was so significant that the German High Command often overestimated his capabilities and intentions. During the Battle of the Bulge, his rapid counteroffensive to relieve the besieged town of Bastogne became legendary, showcasing his ability to mobilize and strike decisively. The Battle of the Bulge was one of Patton's most remarkable achievements. Despite harsh winters and fierce resistance, Patton's Third Army broke through the German lines, providing crucial relief to Allied forces and turning the tide of the whole battle. And so the fear and respect Patton commanded from the Axis powers weren't just about his military acumen. His psychological warfare, larger-than-life persona, and the mythos surrounding him amplified his impact. And the Germans believed that he was capable of almost anything, which played to the Allies' advantage. Now, Patton's leadership extended beyond strategy and tactics. His ability to inspire his men beneath him, his unwavering confidence, and his relentless pursuit of excellence made him a leader who could turn the tide of battles and change the course of the war. And so his legacy as a master strategist and fearless leader remains etched in history, a testament to his unparalleled impact on World War II. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more insights into the heroes and events that shaped our world. Whilst we're on the topic of the Axis powers, I've got a video of how the world would have looked if the Axis had won on D-Day. Check it out.
We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds.
On the road to Berlin, to Tokyo, to a final victory. I have a dream. This nation will rise up.
Go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.